This is James Beatty from SaveJersey.com. We're here in Hackensack, New Jersey at the Bergen County Republican headquarters. I'm here with 38th District Assembly candidate Fernando Alonso. How you doing,
James?
Fernando?
Great. How about you?
Good. A little full disclosure, my father actually graduated with Fernando.
We're going to bring that up now.
Back in, we won't say when, just for the sake of Fernando. So Fernando, you've been campaigning since before the primary and all through the generals. Tell us about what you've been doing today.
Today we were at Paramus, and we had a lot of positive responses today. The people were excited that they got to meet myself and also Assemblyman Bucco from Morris County, who came out to help us out. We also had the Assembly Republican leader come out to help us out too. So in Paramus, we're knocking on doors, and a lot of great responses today.
Well, you've run for office before in the '90s against Menendez and for Senate in Hudson County before you moved here to Bergen County. But you're not really a politician. You teach law at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and you're a lawyer. So unlike your running mate for Assembly, Rich Goldberg, who's the mayor in Hawthorne, and the freeholder board chairman of Bergen County, John Driscoll, who's running for the Senate position here in the 38th District. You're not a politician, when it comes down to it. You're just really a teacher and a businessman.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm an outsider, so my perspective has always been for this race has been someone from the outside who now all of a sudden is running. Yes, I am a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for over 25 years now, and over the last 8 to 10 years I've been more toward education. I've been a professor and a director at FDU.
Now you talk about education a little bit, and what are your plans for education reform? Is that one of the things you want to do when you get in there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues that are involved in New Jersey, and one of the issues in education is obviously, and that's been kind of taken care of a little bit with the pension and health benefit reforms. Really, there's a lot of other issues that have to be resolved. One of them, to give you an example, is the tenure issue. My feeling is you cannot give someone who just graduates from college after the age of 24, once they work for 3 years, give them a job for life. I think that the system that they set up is wrong, and so I think they need to have a little bit more time. What that time will be, that could be negotiated. 5 to 7 years out gives the district a little bit better chance to see the professor or the teacher in action, to see if this is somebody they want to keep there for the rest of their life. So that's one of the things. And I really think that we need to look at the entire system to make sure that the districts are getting the best bang for their money. Because I think what's happening in New Jersey is that there are certain districts, like the Abbott districts, are getting a tremendous amount of money, and we're not seeing the results. If we had the results, then you'd say, okay, the money is being used properly, but it has not. So they have to redo some things there in terms of education, and I want to be part of helping that reform happen.
And just continuing on the subject of education, because again, you are an educator, and on the Democrat side, the incumbent, Connie Wagner, prides herself in her television ads and her print ads as being an educator. If you want to be an educator, she says, I'm the one you have to vote for. Continuing education, that's her. That's pretty much her credo here. Distinguish yourself a little bit from Assemblywoman Wagner. Okay,
well, a couple of things, and I applaud Connie Wagner for saying she's in for education, because I think that's a great thing. America needs to educate its people, especially in this kind of a market. We need to retool everyone. I'm looking at it from the perspective of higher education and college, and I'm trying to make sure people get there with the right skills so that they can compete in the global economy. The difference between me and her is that she's beholden to the unions that back her there. So her decisions are based on the, demands that the unions have, and of course the money that they give her. I don't have that feeling of being beholden to this organization. Although I respect them, I'm not going to be making decisions based on them. I'm going to be making decisions based on the taxpayers and also the students for the foreseeable future.
Now, all throughout, as I've gotten to know you a little bit throughout the campaign, I see a lot of people helping you out of all different stripes. But one of the things you've been stressing is we need to get out the Latino vote, and how getting people, getting Latinos out to help us out. Why is that so important this year? being that that you are Latino yourself?
Well, we're in a paradigm shift, and I think that the Latino population has been growing dramatically. It's becoming an economic force. And I told them, you got to be a political force too. And the problem is that they have been taken for granted by the Democrats. In fact, a lot of the people that I've come across in the district that are Latinos are going to be voting for us because they finally realize somebody's there that's got the same values. What people don't realize is that the Republican Party and the Latino community have similar values. They just haven't been able to kind of sit down and talk with each other and say, how can we help each other out? And I think I'm going to be that bridge. I'm hoping to be a role model for the Latino community to make sure that we get enough Latinos in there so that we can be in both parties and not be just taken for granted by the Democratic Party. And I think at that point, both parties will realize that there is a movement among the Latino population that they'll have to listen to their issues. And I think what people will realize later is that the Republican Party is a lot closer than what anybody thinks in terms of values that the Latinos have. And that's what I'm trying to do.
What sort of values do you have in mind specifically?
We're talking about properties, we're talking about jobs, we're talking about education. I mean, all of these things that we're talking about right now with Christie's toolkit is a lot of the issues that the Latino community agrees with.
And there's a few weeks left, Fernando, just to wrap this up. You have a handful of weeks between campaigning and getting out the vote. What is going to be the key for you, Mayor Goldberg, and top of the ticket, Chairman Driscoll, to win this election for you all? Well,
look, we've been very fortunate where we've received a tremendous amount of help by the Republican Party, but also by a large spectrum of the population that is just fed up with the way things are. And so we're giving that answer or that solution for people to say, okay, you know what, I think these guys can help us out, and so they're going to vote for us. It is not a sexy election like the presidential election or the gubernatorial election. So this one is a really bare knuckles, getting people out to vote, and that's what we're doing. We're out there talking, knocking on doors, getting mail-in votes, and getting the message out there. So, we'll know at the end of the day what will happen. We're fortunate that even without beginning our process sometime in the summer, we were, I think, very close, and now I think we're ahead of them in the polls. And that tells you that the people that have been there for about 8 years have not done a great job, because people would be knocking themselves out to just go vote for them, and they're not doing that. So I think we have an opportunity to change New Jersey for the better.
Fernando, thank you for coming out and talking to me today.
Thank you.
And keep it here to SaveJersey.com for so much more coverage.